The gavel cracked like a gunshot in the dusty Montana air, and Ian felt the weight of every eye in the crowd turn away from him, their bids drying up faster than the creek after a long summer drought. Lot 12, Ian Whitaker, 22, strong back for ranch hands, knows his way around fences and feed. The auctioneer droned, his voice flat as the prairie, but the silence that followed was louder than any thunder Ian had ever heard rolling in from the Rockies. In that heartbeat, as the numbers stalled at 0, Ian realized his father hadn't just sold off the family truck last week. Had sold his own son, piece by invisible piece, to the highest bidder who wasn't too scared of what the town whispered about the gay boy from the old Whitaker spread. Ian stood there on the wooden platform, the splintered planks digging into his boot heels like accusations he couldn't shake off. The auction yard in Billings sprawled out under a sky heavy with the promise of rain, a relic of harder times when men auctioned off their labor like livestock, back when the oil boom hadn't quite faded and folks still clung to traditions that smelled of hay and regret. Trucks rumbled in the distance, their engines growling low as ranchers leaned against rusted tailgates, Stetsons tipped low over weathered faces. Ian could smell the mix of diesel and damp earth, the faint tang of cattle from the pens nearby, but it all blurred into the knot twisting in his gut. His father, Harlan Whitaker, had driven him here that morning without a word beyond the gravelly, "Get in the truck." Harlan was a man built like the fence posts he mended, broad and unyielding, his hands calloused from decades wrestling steers and secrets. Ian had come out to him 6 months back, over a dinner of venison stew that went cold on the plates. "Ain't no place for that kind of thing in this family," Harlan had said, not yelling, just stating it like the price of feed hay. The beatings came later, not with fists but with silence, with extra chores that left Ian bone-tired, with the way Harlan started eyeing the auction listings in the county paper. Now here they were. Harlan stood off to the side, arms crossed over his grease-stained jacket, jaw set like he was waiting for a storm to pass. Ian met his eyes once, just once, and saw nothing there but the hard line of a man who'd buried his own boy alive. The auctioneer, a wiry fella named Gus with a mustache like a broom bristle, cleared his throat and tried again. "Starts at $50 a week, room and board included. Who's gonna give this kid a shot?" A murmur rippled through the crowd, low and uneasy. Ian knew what they were thinking. Word traveled faster than a prairie fire in a town like this, where the barbershop doubled as confession booth. The gay boy, the one who'd been caught kissing Tommy Hale behind the grain silo last summer, before Tommy lit out for Bozeman and a life that didn't include looking back. Folks had pitted Tommy. Sure, but Ian had become the cautionary tale, the reason parents locked their sons in early after-church socials. A hand went up from the back, old Mr. Hargrove from the spread over by the Yellowstone, his fingers trembling like aspen leaves. 40, he croaked, and Ian felt a flicker of something almost like hope. Hargrove was kinder than most, a widower who talked to his horses more than his neighbors. But then Hargrove's wife, or what passed for one after 30 years of spinsterhood, tugged his sleeve, whispering sharp enough for Ian to catch the edge of "not that one." The hand dropped. Gus wiped sweat from his brow, the October chill doing nothing to cool the awkward heat rising off the platform. 40 going once. No other bids. Twice. The crowd shifted, boots scuffing gravel, eyes sliding anywhere but Ian's face. "Sold to no one, I guess." Gus shrugged, like it was just another empty lot, and banged the gavel again, moving on to the next. A bay mare with a limp. Ian didn't move. His legs felt rooted, like the cottonwoods lining the river back home that bent but never broke in the wind. Home. The word tasted like ash now. Harlan stepped forward, not to claim him, but to grab the clipboard from Gus, scribbling something that looked like relief on his face. "He's yours to keep if you want," Gus muttered, low enough for only Harlan to hear. "But I reckon hell fetch more in Great Falls come spring." Harlan nodded, then turned to Ian, his voice a low rumble. "You heard the man. No one's buyin'. Pack your kit and meet me at the truck." Well, figure something. Figure something. Like Ian was a busted fence or a lame calf. He wanted to scream, to tell his father that the something was him, whole and aching, with dreams that didn't involve mending wire or hiding who he was. But the words stuck, thick as the mud after a thaw. Instead, he hopped down from the platform, his boots hitting the ground with a thud that echoed in his chest. The yard was emptying out, men climbing into pickups, tailpipes coughing exhaust into the gray air. Ian shouldered his duffel, the one thing Head packed with trembling hands that morning. A few changes of clothes, his grandma's old pocket watch that ticked like a heartbeat, and a dog-eared copy of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. The spine cracked from nights reading by flashlight when the house felt too small. Head found the book in the attic, hidden like a sin, and it had whispered to him of wide-open roads and bodies electric, of an America that might one day make room for boys like him. He walked toward the truck, the gravel crunching underfoot, each step pulling him farther from the boy who'd once chased fireflies across the fields with his sister Lila. Back when love was simple and unspoken. Lila was the only one who'd hugged him after Head told her, her arms fierce around his neck as she whispered, "You're still my brother, Ian. Don't let him make you forget that." But Lila was off at nursing school in Missoula now, phone calls growing shorter, her voice laced with the worry of a girl caught between blood and truth. Harlan was already in the cab, engine idling rough. Ian paused at the passenger door, hand on the handle, staring at his reflection in the side mirror. His face looked drawn, the blue eyes that Lila called sky-sharp now dulled like winter ponds. 22 years old, and already he felt like He'd been auctioned off 100 times in his own head. "Get in," Harlan grunted, not looking up from the steering wheel. Ian climbed in, the door slamming shut like a period at the end of a sentence. The truck lurched forward, tires spinning dust as they pulled out of the yard. Neither spoke. The radio crackled with some country station, a twangy voice singing about lost loves and open highways, and Ian pressed his forehead against the cool glass, watching the flatlands blur by. Billings faded in the rearview, a smudge of low buildings and sodium lights, giving way to the endless roll of sagebrush and sky. They drove west, toward the Whitaker Ranch, 30 miles of nothing but wind-whipped grass and the occasional antelope darting across the blacktop. Ian thought about running, thumbing a ride to Seattle or Portland, cities He'd seen in movies where men like him walked hand in hand without a second glance. But money was a chain, heavier than any rope, and all he had was $20 folded in his sock. "You think you're better than this place?" Harlan said finally, his voice cutting through the hum of tires. It wasn't a question. Ian turned, slow, meeting his father's profile etched sharp against the dashboard glow. "I think I'm just trying to breathe, Dad, without feeling like every breath costs something." Harlan snorted, a sound like dry leaves. "Breathin' costs nothing. Livin' does. And you're livin' wrong, boy. Always have." The words landed like punches, soft but bruising. Ian looked away, out at the darkening horizon where the mountains loomed like silent judges. He wondered if this was it, the end of the line. Back to the ranch, mending fences in silence, waiting for the next storm to blow through and wash away what little of himself he had left. But as the truck crested a low hill, headlights sweeping across a lone figure standing by the roadside, something shifted. A man, tall and shadowed, thumb out in the classic hitchhiker's pose, his silhouette cutting against the fading light. Harlan slowed, muttering under his breath, but Ian felt a pull, inexplicable, like the first tug of a current in still water. "Room for one more?" the stranger called as they rolled to a stop, his voice smooth, carrying a city lilt that had no business in these parts. Harlan eyed him through the windshield, then shrugged. "If you ain't picky about the company." The man opened the back door, sliding in with a duffel of his own, the scent of rain and something sharper, like cologne from a world beyond barbed wire, filling the cab. "Appreciate it," he said, leaning forward to offer a hand to Ian over the seat. "Name's Elias Navarro." Ian took it, their palms meeting firm and warm, and in that touch, something sparked, faint as distant lightning. "Ian," he said, voice steadier than he felt. "Whitaker." Elias nodded, his dark eyes catching Ian's in the mirror, holding just a second too long. "Heard about the auction back there. Tough break." Harlan's hands tightened on the wheel. "Ain't your business." But Elias just smiled, faint and knowing, settling back as the truck picked up speed. World's small out here. Sometimes a fresh start ain't far as you think. Ian didn't reply, but as the miles unspooled, Elias' stories filling the cab with tales of Seattle rains and coffee shops that stayed open till dawn. Ian felt the knot in his chest loosen, just a thread. For the first time that day, the road ahead didn't feel like an end, but a question waiting to be asked. The ranch came into view too soon. A squat cluster of buildings huddled against the wind, porch light flickering like a wary eye. Harlan pulled up, gravel crunching, and killed the engine. "You can bunk in the barn tonight, stranger. I'll drop you at the interstate come mornin'." Elias thanked him, climbing out with easy grace, but as Ian grabbed his duffel and followed, their eyes met again across the hood, a silent promise in the gathering dark. Inside, Harlan disappeared into the house without another word, leaving Ian to show Elias the way. The barn smelled of hay and old leather, lofts stacked high with bales that cast long shadows in the lantern light. Ian pointed to an empty stall with a cot head crashed on more nights than he could count. "It's rough, but dry." Elias dropped his bag, rolling his shoulders. "Beats a ditch. You from here. Born and raised." Ian leaned against a post, arms crossed to hide the tremble. "You? Passing through. Or was. Got a job lined up in Missoula, but detours are my specialty." Elias peeled off his jacket, revealing a lean frame under a fitted Henley, tattoos snaking up his forearms like rivers on a map. He was older, mid-30s maybe, with skin kissed by sun from places warmer than this, hair black and cropped close, eyes deep brown that seemed to see right through the cracks. Ian swallowed, looking away. "Detours, huh? Sounds fancy for hitchin'." Elias laughed, soft, like wind through pines. "Sometimes the best paths aren't marked. Tell me about the auction. That wasn't just labor, was it?" The question hung, heavy. Ian sank onto the cot, elbows on knees. "My dad's way of cleanin' house. Thinks I don't fit the brand." Elias sat beside him, not too close, but close enough that Ian felt the heat of him. "Brands change. Fathers don't always see that." They talked then, words spilling like rain starting to patter on the tin roof. Elias spoke of his own coming out in a family that cooked tamales for Christmas and prayed in Spanish, of the brother who'd stood by him and the one who'd turned away. Ian shared bits of his world. Lila's letters, the way the stars looked brighter over the fields at night, the ache of wanting more than the horizon allowed. Hours slipped by, the lantern flickering low, until Elias yawned and stretched. "Get some shut-eye, Ian. Tomorrow's got possibilities." Ian nodded, blowing out the light, but sleep evaded him. In the dark, with Elias breathing steady nearby, he let himself imagine. A stranger had stopped, not for pity, but for the man beneath the label. As thunder rumbled distant, Ian closed his eyes, the first real rest head found in months. Morning broke gray and sodden, rain sluicing off the barn eaves in steady sheets that turned the yard to muck. Ian woke to the scent of coffee brewing somewhere in the house, mingled with the earthy petrichor that always followed a Montana downpour. Elias was already up, lacing his boots by lantern light, his face softened in the dawn glow filtering through cracks in the walls. "Slept like a rock," Elias said, glancing over with a grin that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "You snore, by the way." Ian flushed, sitting up and running a hand through his hair. "Liar. That's the wind." They shared a quiet laugh, the sound foreign in the barn's hush, like birdsong after a storm. Ian led the way to the house, boots squelching through puddles, the rain a curtain between them and the world. Harlan was at the kitchen table, nursing a mug, his eyes red-rimmed from whatever ghosts kept him up. He grunted a greeting, sliding a tin of Folgers across the scarred wood. "Eat quick," he said, not looking at Ian. "Gotta check the north fence before it washes out." Ian poured coffee, black and bitter, handing a mug to Elias. The kitchen was sparse, linoleum peeling at the edges, a calendar from the feed store pinned to the fridge with magnets shaped like horseshoes. Photos lined the mantel in the adjoining living room, faded Polaroids of Ian as a kid, gap-toothed and grinning atop a pony, Lila beside him with braids flying. None recent. None with him at all after 16. Elias sipped, leaning against the counter. Smells like home. My ma makes it the same way. Strong enough to wake the dead. Harlan eyed him, suspicion etching deeper lines in his forehead. You a talker, city boy? Only when there's something worth saying. Elias met the gaze steady, no challenge, just truth. Ian watched, heart thudding, the air thick with unspoken measures. Breakfast was hasty. Biscuits from a can, split and buttered, with jerky from the pantry. Ian chewed mechanically, the food sitting heavy, his mind replaying the auction like a loop of bad film. No one bid. No one wanted the complication. Even here, in his own kitchen, he felt like the odd lot left unsold. After, Harlan tossed Ian the keys to the old Ford. Take the stranger to the interstate. Then get your ass to the fence. Ian nodded, grabbing his jacket, a wool thing threadbare at the cuffs. Elias followed, pausing at the door to tip his head to Harlan. Thanks for the roof. Safe trails. Harlan waved it off, but as they stepped out, Ian caught the flicker in his father's eyes. A crack in the armor, quickly sealed. The drive to the interstate was short, 10 miles of winding blacktop flanked by sodden fields. Wipers slapping rhythm a counterpoint to the radio's static-laced news. Something about floods in the Midwest, elections heating up back east. Ian gripped the wheel, knuckles pale, the silence between them comfortable but laced with the ache of endings. You don't have to do this, Elias said suddenly, breaking the quiet. Drop me off, if you're heading to Missoula for that job of yours. Ian glanced over, rain streaking the windshield like tears. What job? Elias shrugged, a small smile playing. The one you're dreaming of when you stare out windows. Something with books or art, maybe. I saw that Whitman in your bag. Heat crept up Ian's neck. Poetry don't pay bills. And anyway, I ain't got the gas money for Missoula. Gas ain't the only way to get places. Elias shifted, his knee brushing Ian's in the tight cab, a spark that lingered. Look, I got wheels waitin' in Billings. Borrowed truck from a buddy. Come with me, at least to the city. See what's out there. Ian laughed, sharp and disbelieving. Just like that? Stranger buys the gay boy a ride. Elias's expression sobered, his voice low. Ain't buyin', affarin'. Difference is you choose. The interstate loomed, a ribbon of possibility cutting north-south, semis barreling through the spray like ships in fog. Ian pulled over at the on-ramp, engine idling, heart hammering a rhythm that drowned the rain. Choose. The word was foreign, a luxury he'd forgotten. I can't just leave, he said, but it sounded like a question. You already have. Elias's hand rested on the gearshift, close but not touching. Back at that yard. Now it's about where you go next. Ian stared at the road, empty save for the ghosts of tires. Lila's voice echoed in his head. Don't let him make you forget. Harlan's face hard as flint. The auctioneer's gavel, final as judgment. Screw it, he whispered, then louder. Okay, Missoula it is. Elias grinned, full and bright, pulling out his phone to text coordinates. Attaboy, meet me at the yard in an hour. They'll have coffee waitin'. Ian watched him jog into the rain, thumb out again, but this time with purpose. The truck felt empty without him, but lighter too, like shedding a skin too tight. He turned back toward the ranch, mind racing. Harlan would rage, sure, but what was one more storm? Pulling up, Ian killed the engine, rain drumming on the roof like applause. Inside, Harlan was gone, truck tracks leading to the fields. A note on the table, fence done by noon, supper at 6. Ian crumpled it, heart twisting. Supper, as if nothing had shattered. He packed fast, stuffing the duffel with essentials. Clothes, the watch, Whitman, a photo of Lila head tucked in the Bible his grandma left. The house creaked around him, memories pressing like damp air. Upstairs, in his room, posters of rodeo stars peeled at edges. Bed unmade from the night before the confession. He stripped the sheets, folding them neat, a goodbye in linen. Downstairs, he penned a note of his own. Gone to find my way. Tell Lila I love her. Sorry, Dad. It felt inadequate, words too small for the chasm. But it was something. He slung the bag over his shoulder, stepping out into the downpour, the Ford waiting like a faithful dog. The drive back to Billings was a blur, wipers and thoughts keeping time. The auction yard looked forlorn in the wet, puddles mirroring the overcast sky. Elias was there, leaning against a mud-splattered Tacoma, 2 steaming cups in hand. Took you long enough, he teased, handing one over. The coffee was perfect, laced with cream and a hint of cinnamon that spoke of mornings elsewhere. Ian sipped, warmth spreading. Had to tie up loose ends. Elias nodded, understanding in the tilt of his head. Loose ends can strangle if you let 'em. Hop in. Missoula's Callan. They hit the road north, the Tacoma eating miles with ease. Radio tuned to indie folk that wove tales of wanderers and what-ifs. Elias drove with one hand loose on the wheel, the other tapping rhythms on his thigh, tattoos shifting like stories untold. Ian stole glances, tracing the line of his jaw, the way rain beaded on the window like unshed emotion. Tell me about Seattle, Ian said, to fill the space or maybe to hear Elias' voice wrap around dreams. Elias's eyes lit. Rains like this, but constant. Coffee everywhere, markets with fish flying through air. And people, they move different. Less judgment in the stride. Sounds crowded. Sounds free. Elias glanced over, gaze lingering. You ever been? Ian shook his head. Closest was a church youth trip to Yellowstone. Saw Old Faithful blow. Thought it was the most exciting thing alive. Elias chuckled. Stick with me, kid. Got better eruptions waitin'. The words hung, layered, and Ian felt heat pool low. A flush he hoped the dim cab hid. They talked then, easy as breathing. Elias's job as a graphic designer for a tech startup. Freelancing now after a bad breakup that left him road tripping for clarity. Ian's bits came slower. School dropped after high school to help the ranch. Nights sketching landscapes in a notebook head hidden. The way poetry felt like a secret language for the lonely. By late afternoon, Missoula unfolded. A college town nestled in the Bitterroot Valley. Rivers snaking through like veins of blue. University spires pierced the clouds. Streets lined with breweries and bookstores that spilled light onto wet sidewalks. Elias navigated to a motel on the edge. Neon sign buzzing vacancy, like a beacon. 2 rooms, he said at the desk. But Ian shook his head. 1. Save the cash. Elias raised a brow but didn't argue. Keys jingling as they headed up. The room was basic. 2 queens. A TV bolted to the wall. View of parking lot puddles. Ian dropped his bag. Exhaustion hitting like a wave. Shower. Elias offered, nodding to the bathroom. Ian nodded, stripping down under the spray, water scalding away the day's grime. He soaped up, mind wandering to Elias just beyond the door, the possibility of skin on skin in this anonymous space. But he toweled off quick, pulling on clean jeans and tee, emerging to find Elias sprawled on the bed, scrolling his phone. Pizza? Elias asked, holding up a menu from the nightstand. They ordered, ate cross-legged on the carpet, boxes open like shared secrets. Cheese stretched between bites, laughter bubbling over stories. Elias's failed attempt at surfing in Oregon, Ian's epic fail at baking Lil's birthday cake, resulting in a kitchen fire that singed Harlan's eyebrows. As night deepened, rain tapping a lullaby, they climbed into beds feet apart, the space between humming with tension. Night, Ian, Elias murmured, voice husky. Night. Ian lay awake, staring at the ceiling water stain shaped like a heart, wondering if this was the detour or the road home. Morning brought sun, tentative through curtains and plans. Elias had a contact at the university art department, a friend needing a hand with exhibits. Temp gig, he said over diner eggs. Pays enough for coffee and canvas. Ian hesitated, fork midway. Art? I sketch, yeah. But nothing. Show me. In the motel lot, Ian pulled his notebook from the duffel. pages filled with pencil strokes, jagged peaks at sunset, a lone rider dissolving into mist, portraits of faces he'd loved and lost. Elias flipped through, slow, breath catching at a drawing of a boy with haunted eyes, unmistakably Ian himself. "These are gold," Elias said, voice thick. "You got a gift, Whitaker. Don't auction it off cheap." The words pierced, and Ian blinked hard, the diner blurring. "No one's ever said that. Then they're blind." Elias closed the book, hand covering Ian's, thumb brushing knuckle. The touch lingered, electric, until the waitress cleared her throat. They spent the day wandering. Campus quad alive with students tossing frisbees. The river trail where willows dipped branches in current. Elias pointed out galleries, coffee shops with open mic nights, a world unfolding like a map Ian had only traced in dreams. By evening, Head emailed his sketches to Elias' friend, heart pounding as send clicked. That night, back in the room, the air felt charged. Rain returned in earnest. They watched an old western on TV, John Wayne drawling about frontiers, but Ian's attention drifted to Elias' profile, the curve of his neck. "You stare like you're memorizin'," Elias said, not turning. "AM." The admission slipped, bold. Elias muted the TV, rolling to face him, bed springs creaking. "Good, 'cause I ain't forgettin' this." He leaned across the gulf, slow, giving Ian the out. But Ian met him halfway, lips brushing tentative. Then sure, a kiss tasting of diner grease and possibility. Elias' hand cupped his jaw, gentle, guiding, tongue's tentative dance sparking fire low. They broke apart, breaths mingling. "You sure?" Elias whispered. Ian nodded, pulling him closer. More than the auction. Clothes shed in whispers, bodies mapping new terrain. Elias' firm planes under Ian's palms, scars like stories on ribs from a childhood fall. Ian arched as Elias' mouth trailed fire down chest, hands reverent on hips, gasps filling the room like prayers. After, tangled in sheets damp with sweat, Elias traced Ian's spine. "Stay in Missoula. With me." Ian pressed forehead to shoulder, heart full. "Try and stop me." But as sleep claimed them, thunder rolled, omen of storms yet to break. Weeks blurred into a rhythm Ian had only read about in novels, the kind where time bends soft around new beginnings. Missoula welcomed him like a prodigal, its streets a mosaic of leaf-strewn avenues and river-scented breezes that carried hints of pine from the encircling mountains. The temp gig at the university art department turned permanent faster than expected. Hanging canvases in the gallery, assisting with student critiques, his sketches earning nods from professors who saw the raw hunger in his lines. Paycheck modest, but it covered a shared apartment above a laundromat on Higgins Avenue, windows rattling with the hum of dryers below like a mechanical heartbeat. Elias fit seamless, his freelance work spilling across the kitchen table in digital sketches for clients back in Seattle. Nights spent coding or calling his ma in Spokane, her laughter tinny through the speaker. They moved like partners in a dance neither had rehearsed. Mornings with coffee brewed strong, Elias stealing kisses over the pot. Evenings walking the Clark Fork, hands brushing till fingers laced, unspoken claim. Ian learned the taste of Elias' skin after hikes, salt and earth. Bodies joining in the queen bed they'd pushed against the wall, gasps echoing off peeling wallpaper. But beneath the ease, fissures waited. Lila called first, her voice crackling from Missoula's edge, where she bunked with roommates studying midwifery. "Ian? God, where are you? Dad's fit to be tied. Says you ran off with some drifter." Ian paced the kitchen, phone hot against ear, Elias watching from the couch with quiet eyes. "Ain't runnin', Lil. Just move in. Got a job, a place." She exhaled, relief mixed with worry. "He burned your note, you know. Said it was weakness leavin' like that. But I kept a copy. Proud of you, brother. That sketch you sent? Hung it by my bed." They talked hours, her stories of med rotations weaving with his of gallery chaos. The way Elias made him laugh till his sides ached. "He sounds good," Lila said soft. "Real good." "He is." Ian glanced at Elias, who mouthed "love you" exaggerated. earning an eye roll and grin. Harlan called next, unexpected, his number flashing like a warning. Ian let it ring twice before answering, braced against the fridge. What? You owe me an explanation, boy. Harlan's voice gravel over wire. No hello. Explanation? Like the auction. The words sharp, unintended. Silence stretched, then a sigh heavy as sod. That was for your own good. Town talks. Ian. Ruins a man. Ruins? Or just me being me? Ian gripped the phone, knuckles white. You come back. Work the ranch. Well, forget this nonsense. Forget. Ian laughed bitter. Can't forget what I am, Dad. And I ain't coming back. The line went dead. Click final as gavel. Ian slid to the floor, head in hands, Elias there in seconds, arms wrapping solid. Hey, breathe. He wants me fixed. Tears hot, unbidden. Elias rocked him gentle. Some folks build walls, not bridges. Doesn't make you wrong. That night, they made love fierce, bodies claiming what words couldn't. Elias whispering praises in Spanish till Ian shattered, held safe in the afterglow. Life deepened. Weekends at the farmer's market, Elias haggling for heirloom tomatoes, Ian sketching portraits for tips, faces of grizzled vets and wide-eyed co-eds capturing stories in charcoal. They hosted a dinner, Lila and her girlfriend Nora joining, laughter filling the cramped space with pasta and wine, Nora's hand in Lil's like a vow. To detours, Elias toasted, glass clinking Ian's, eyes promising forever. But autumn waned, leaves carpeting streets in crimson, and shadows lengthened. Elias got an offer, full-time remote for the Seattle firm, but with travel to the coast monthly. Means weekends away, he said over breakfast. Fork paused mid-bite. But better pay. Stability. Ian nodded, forcing smile. Go for it. We got this. The first trip came swift, Elias kissing him deep at the airport shuttle, promising calls nightly. Missoula felt hollow without him, the apartment echoing with absence. Ian threw into work, volunteering for late shifts at the gallery, losing himself in other artists' visions. Abstract swirls of color that screamed what his quiet lines whispered. Lila noticed, dragging him to a dive bar on Reserve Street, neon buzzing, pints and poetry. You're fading, Ian. Talk. Over IPAs, foam clinging to glass, he spilled. The ache of empty bed, worry that Elias city lights would eclipse their small glow. What if I'm just the detour? Lila squeezed his hand. Then he's the fool. But I seen how he looks at you, like you're the horizon. Poetry night unfolded, mics crackling with verses of love lost and found. And Ian signed up on impulse, heart pounding as he read from Whitman, voice steady on I Sing the Body Electric, eyes closing to the snap of fingers applause. Elias called that night, voice warm through static. Miss you. Gallery say anything about that exhibit. Ian curled on the couch, phone to ear. Proposed me for a solo show. Small, but proud don't cover it. Elias pause, then soft. Love you, artist. Love you too. The words easy now, anchor. He returned Thursday, tan from coast sun, arms full of Seattle souvenirs. Microbrew six-pack, a leather journal embossed with ravens. They tumbled into bed, reunion hungry, Elias mapping changes in Ian's body like cherished land. But cracks widened subtle. Elias' travel stretched. A week in Portland for a client pitch, then San Francisco. Calls grew shorter, texts laced with exhaustion. Deadline hell, head type, followed by heart emojis that felt like placeholders. Ian filled voids with art. His show Prairie Ghosts, opening to murmurs of approval. Locals buying prints of barbed wire hearts and empty auction blocks. Lila beamed from front row, Harlan absent, but a card arrived postmarked Billings. Blank inside, but the postmark spoke volumes. Elias made the opening, flying in last minute, suit rumpled, grin wide as he pulled Ian into alcove shadows. Stunning. You. They celebrated at a rooftop bar, city lights twinkling below, champagne fizzing on tongues. To us? Elias toasted, but his eyes held distance. A flicker Ian chalked to jet lag. Winter crept in, snow dusting peaks. Missoula hunkering under gray. Elias trips mounted. A month straight in Seattle for Project Crunch. Temporary, he assured, kissing Temple. Then him home. Home. The word anchored Ian through solo holidays. Thanksgiving with Lila and Nora. Turkey dry but company golden. Christmas sketching by fire. Mailing Elias a locket with their photo. Tiny and treasured. New Year dawned with Elias' return. Airport reunion in flurry snow. Bodies pressed in cab. Hotel detour before apartment. Missed this? Elias groaned. Hands everywhere. But dawn brought truth. Elias on laptop. Email open from the firm. Promotion. Relocation to Seattle office. Full-time, 6 figures. Ian sat up, sheets pooling. When? Discuss next week. Elias closed the lid. Reaching. We could move. Together. Move. The word seismic. Missoula roots shallow but tender. Gallery job solid. Lila close. The river his muse. Seattle? Unknown, vast. I need time. Ian dressed quick. Fleeing to the trail, snow crunching under boots, breath fogging questions. Days stretched taut. Elias gave space. Cooking dinner silent, touches tentative. Ian walked miles. Notebook filling with storm clouds and fractured lines. Lila hosted intervention coffee at her place. Nora baking scones flaky. He's scared, Lila said, stirring sugar, of losing you to the city. But it's his dream. Ian traced mug rim. Dreams bend. Question is, does he? That night, confrontation brewed. Elias home late. Tie loose, scotch on breath. Talk to the firm. Can defer. Ian from couch, arms crossed. Defer? Or choose? Elias paced. Shadows long. It's not that simple. Career stability for us. Us in Seattle, where am what? Barista artist. You're talented. Opportunities there. Here too. Voice rose, crack. Or does the gay boy from the yard not get dreams? Elias stopped, pain flashing. That's not. Isn't it? Ian stood close, hurt spilling. You claimed me once. Now you're auctioning off our life for a corner office. Words landed brutal, Elias recoiling like struck. I love you, Ian. But love ain't enough if we're broke. Love built this. Gesture encompassing room, them. Or was I just the cheap lot? Silence deafened. Elias grabbing coat. Need air. Door slammed. Echo hollow. Ian sank. Tears hot. Whitman open on table. I am he that walks with the tender and growing night. Hours passed. Phone silent. Dawn gray when key turned. Elias returning. Eyes red. Sorry. Shouldn't have walked. Ian rose, tentative. Stay. Well figure. They held. Fragile truce. But seed planted. Doubt. Thorny. Spring thawed ice, but not the chill between. Elias deferred. Trips lessened. But tension simmered. Small slights magnifying. Forgotten anniversaries. Arguments over dishes masking deeper fears. Ian's show toward small, to Bozeman, Helena, whispers of bigger things. Elias supported, but eyes distant, scrolling job boards late. One night, post-argument over move, Elias snapped. You hold me back, Ian. This town, your roots. It's chains. Chains. Word weapon, slicing old wounds. Ian packed bag, duffel familiar weight. Then unchain yourself. Slam door his, streets cold under stars. Crashed Lil's couch, her arms haven. He didn't mean. Did. Ian wept. Raw. The detour he regrets. Days blurred. Gallery leave. Sketches dark. Whiskey burning throat. Lila pushed therapy. A counselor named Theo with kind eyes and rainbow pin. Sessions peeling layers. Abandonment from auction. Harlan's rejection echoing in Elias' doubt. Elias called. Texts pleading. Come home. Please. Home. Fractured word. Ian returned. Cautious. Rules set. Couples counseling, no jobs without talk. They tried, sessions raw. Elias admitting fear of failure, providing like his pa never did. Ian voicing terror of being disposable lot. Progress slow, summer sun warming cracks. Picnics by river, hands held public, bold. Love reignited, nights tender, bodies reaffirming vows unspoken. But autumn returned, leaves falling like warnings, Elias email pinging. Counteroffer from firm, remote hybrid. Last chance, he said, hopeful. Ian weighed, heart heavy. Go, but come back weekends. Build both worlds. Elias kissed fierce. Promise. He left Monday, Seattle skyline calling. But Friday brought him home. Arms full of takeout, stories of fairies and fog. Balance teetered, but held, until betrayal brewed unseen. Fall deepened, aspens igniting hillsides in gold and flame. Missoula's air crisp with the scent of wood smoke and impending frost. Ian and Elias settled into their fragile equilibrium, weekends a ritual of reconnection. Elias arriving Friday dusk, Tacoma-laden with Seattle specialties. Dungeness crab from Pike Place, vinyl records of folk troubadours for Ian's collection. Saturdays dawned lazy, tangled sheets giving way to hikes in the rattlesnake wilderness. Boots crunching pine needles, hands swinging free as they crested ridges to views that stole breath. Counseling continued. Theo's office a sanctuary of diffused light and potted ferns. Where words once barbed, now bridged. Vulnerability isn't weakness, Theo would say, his voice even as he sketched diagrams of attachment styles on a whiteboard, Ian tracing patterns in his fear of abandonment, Elias confronting his drive to provide as proxy for a fatherhood left when he was 10, fleeing debts and a family fracturing under silence. Ian thrived in fragments. The gallery promoted him to curator assistant, entrusting him with a winter exhibit on queer voices in Western art, his own pieces anchoring the catalog. A series titled Claimed, charcoal renderings of hands reaching across divides, bodies silhouetted against auction blocks reimagined as gallery walls. Opening night buzzed, locals mingling with out-of-towners, Lila toasting with sparkling cider. To my brother, the one who claimed himself, Elias stood proud at his side, arm loose around waist, whispering, "Knew you were gold from the yard." Pride swelled, but so did the undercurrent. The way Elias' phone buzzed constant during toasts, pulled aside for quick calls that stretched minutes. Harlan surfaced unexpected, a letter arriving crisp in the mail slot, envelope stamped with the ranch's return. Ian sliced it open at the kitchen table, Elias reading over shoulder. "Son, Lila says you're making something of yourself. Good. Ranch is quiet without the noise. Sold the old Ford, got a fair price. If you need, it's yours. Weather turns. Take care, Dad." No apology, but the olive branch crooked, extended. Ian traced the scrawl, familiar as scars. "He tryin'." Elias squeezed shoulder. "Steps, not leaps. Call him." Ian did, Sunday afternoon, receiver slick in palm. Harlan answered gruff. "Whitaker. It's me." Pause heavy. "Ian." Name soft, almost. They talked weather first, safe ground. Early snow in the passes, elk hunting season opening. Then deeper, halting. "Miss the fields sometimes," Ian admitted. "Fields miss you." Harlan coughed. "Heard about your show. Lil's got pictures." Pride flickered. "Thanks." Another pause. Then, "That stranger treatin' you right?" Ian glanced at Elias, dozing on couch, book open on chest. "Yeah, real right." "Good." Click. But the warmth lingered. Healing trickled, letters sporadic. Harlan enclosing ranch snapshots, calving seasoned calves with Ian's eyes, blue and curious. Ian replied with sketches, urban scenes of Missoula bridges arching like promises. Elias's hybrid worked, mostly. Tuesdays through Thursdays in Seattle's glass towers, brainstorming logos for apps that promise connection in a disconnected world. Fridays racing east over Snoqualmie Pass, chains rattling on tires against ice. But the strain showed in small erosions. Dinners reheated, conversations clipped by fatigue, nights where Elias crashed early, leaving Ian sketching alone, lines sharper with isolation. Thanksgiving loomed, Lila insisting a joint feast at her and Norris, turkey brining in their tiny kitchen. Sides contributed potluck. Family expanded, Nora said, her laugh booming as she mashed potatoes. Her own kin, a Bible Belt memory shed, fled young. Harlan arrived tentative. Pickup parked curbside, bringing pie from the diner in Billings. Crust flaky with apology unspoken. He shook Elias' hand firm. Navarro, measuring still but softer. Dinner unfolded awkward then easy. Stories of Thanksgivings past, Harlan's of venison roasts gone wrong, Lil's of college dorm feasts on ramen. Elias shared his mas tamale recipe, promise for Christmas, and when Harlan asked about Seattle, listened rapt to tales of markets and ferries. After, dishes cleared, Harlan pulled Ian aside on the porch, breath fogging November chill. Proud son. Of this. Gesture vague, encompassing table, man at Ian's side. Ian nodded, throat tight. Means something. Harlan clapped shoulder. Gone before dawn. But the pie tin left behind. Empty but full of gesture. Winter gripped, snow blanketing the valley in hush. Missoula transformed to postcard. Street lamps haloed in frost, river iced at edges. Ian's exhibit drew crowds, reviews in the Missoulian praising a fresh lens on hidden histories, boosting his confidence to pitch a workshop series for queer youth. Spaces for sketches and stories in a town still learning acceptance. Elias surprised with a trip. Cabin rental in Glacier, Valentine's escape, fireplace crackling as they snowshowed trails. Mittened hands linked. Evenings, wine-warming veins. They made slow love on bearskin rugs. Elias tracing tattoos on Ian's new ink. A small compass on ribcage. Needle fresh from a parlor on the res edge. Points true, Elias murmured, lips to skin. Like you. Ian arched, lost in rhythm. But return brought reality. Elias's firm pushing for more office days. Team synergy code for relocation pressure. One more meeting, head say. Extending Tuesdays to Fridays. Weekends truncated to Sunday evenings. Goodbyes hasty at the door. Doubt crept, insidious. Ian confided in Theo. Session solo now. Elias too swamped. He's pulling away, Ian said, twisting tissue. Like the auction all over. Theo leaned forward. Or like he's scared of losing balance. Communicate. Ian tried. Texts midweek. Miss your laugh. Calls evening. Tell me about your day. Responses warm but brief. Miss you too. Crazy here. Spring teased with thaws. Rivers swelling. But Ian's heart felt iced. Lila noticed. Coffee clatch at Bernice's bakery. Scones crumbling under forks. He's ghosting in plain sight, she said blunt. Confront. Ian planned dinner. Elias's weekend homecoming. Steak searing. Candles flickering on thrift store table. He arrived late. Ty askew. Traffic hell. Over wine. Ian broached. We need more you here. Elias sighed. Fork down. Trying. But the job, it's exploding. They want me lead designer. Proud. Genuine. But us. Us is solid. Hand over Ian's. But squeeze distracted. Phone vibrating silent. Dinner cooled. Talk veering safe. Harlan's latest letter. A calf named Ian, stubborn and blue-eyed. Laughter brief. Then Elias yawned. Early flight tomorrow, Monday meeting. Ian cleared plates, sink water scalding. Stay. Call in. Can't deadlines. Kiss to cheek, perfunctory. Bed that night, Elias back turned. Snores soft. Ian lay awake. Ceiling cracks mapping fractures. Whitman on nightstand. The untold want by life and land ne'er granted. Monday brought storm. Elias text at dawn. Stuck in Seattle. Client crisis. Home Friday. Friday became Saturday. Then Sunday call. Extending. Love you. Love. Word anchor now adrift. Ian walked river alone. Sketchpad blank. Pages tearing in wind. Lila dragged him out. Karaoke at a dive. Belting Springsteen till throat raw. But joy forced. Harlan called, voice crackling. Heard from Lila you're blue. Ranch Springs early. Come see. Tempted but pride held. Work in through. Tuesday. Gallery meeting ran late. Ian locking up to find Elias's Tacoma in lot. Unexpected. Heart leap. then plummet. Elias inside, pacing, phone to ear, voice low urgent. Yeah, it's complicated. He's great, but the distance. Ian's blood iced, key frozen in lock. He pushed door, bell jangling, Elias whirling, face paling. Gotta go. Hung up. Who? Ian voice steel. Elias swallowed. Friend. Work buddy. Liar. Step closer, hurt sharpening. Heard enough. Complicated. Distance. Elias deflated, shoulders slumping. Ian, wait. No. Bag dropped, sketches spilling. You're auctioning us off piece by piece. For what? Simpler life. Not simpler. Better for me. Words tumbled, dam breaking. Missoula's your dream, not mine. Seattle's got pace, people who get the grind. Here. I'm just the guy who left. Left. Echo bitter. You chose this. Us. Chose wrong. Challenge, eyes hard. Ian's fist clenched, knuckles white. Get out. Elias gathered coat. Pause at door. This ain't over. Door shut. Final as winter freeze. Ian sank to floor, sobs racking, gallery empty echo. Called Lila. Her arrival swift, arms fierce. Breathe, brother. He's human. Flawed. Flawed enough to break. Night blurred, whiskey shared. Lila staying till dawn. Morning brought resolve. Text to Theo, emergency slot. Betrayal, Ian said, voice raw. Feels like dad all over. Theo nodded. But you're not the boy on the platform. You're the man who builds now. Gallery work anchor, sketches pouring. Shattered compasses, horizons halved. Lila pushed dates. Blind setups with a barista named Riley. Sweet but sparks absent. Healing takes time, she said. Harlan's next letter came. Enclosed check. For the Ford. Or whatever. Ian cashed it, bought paints, colors bleeding violent on canvas. Elias text sporadic. Sorry. Can we talk? Deleted unread. Spring bloomed riot. Missoula festival season. Art walks. Music in parks. Ian immersed. Workshop for youth packed. Boys like him sketching truths. One kid whispering, thanks for showing it's okay. Validation bomb. But nights lonely. Bed vast. Summer solstice, longest day, brought reckoning. Elias on doorstep, rain-soaked, eyes haunted. Missed you, every mile. Ian door half open, heart warring. Why now? Lost the job, pushed too hard, burned out, laugh hollow. Realized the only deadline Matt Aaron was us. Pity flickered, then caution. Words easy. Elias stepped closer, water dripping. Let me prove. Against better. Ian let him in, towels and tea. Talk till stars wheeled. Elias confessed. The call to ex, Javier, old flame from design school. Seeking advice but veering confessional. Missed the life we had, Elias admitted. But it was echo of you. Pain fresh but honesty cracked door. Slow, Ian stipulated. No promises. Slow. Elias agreed. Couch for nights. Rebuilding brick by tentative brick. Progress. Shared meals, walks without weight. Elias helping at gallery. Hands steady hanging frames. Harlan met him again. Porch talk evolving to beers. Gruff approval. Treat him right, or ill drive up. Lila vetted, Nora grilling. Don't hurt my brother-in-law again. Autumn waned. Leaves drifting. When crisis crested. Elias' phone rang during dinner. Screen flashing, Javier. Ignored, but Ian saw, fork pausing. Work. Elias lied quick. Truth. Ian pushed plate. Or out. Elias sighed. Answering speaker. Hey man. Can't talk. Javier's voice smooth. Missed you last week. That bar in Belltown? Our spot. Elias hung up. Face ashen. Old habit. He's pushin'. Ian stood, chair scraping. Pushin' you where? Nowhere. Desperate. Ian, please. Prove it. Block him. Elias did. Thumb swiping. But trust shattered anew. Shards sharp. That night, Ian packed again, duffel zipped. Need space. Real this time. Elias tears, first scene. Don't auction us off. Ian paused, bag shoulder. You did first. Door closed soft, Ian to Lil's couch familiar. Days bled, work mechanical, sketches barren. Theo urged, boundaries, not walls. Decide your worth. Harlan called, instinct sharp. Come home, son. Clear head. Ian drove, blacktop unspooling, ranch welcoming with lowing cattle, fields gold under harvest moon. Harlan hugged awkward, first in years back Pat's thunder. Stayed weak, mending fences literal, talks deep over coffee. Love ain't easy, Harlan said, eyes distant. Fought your ma same. She won. Miss her. Me too. Shared silence, healing. Returned Missoula resolved. Text Elias. Meet. Park by river. Bench damp with dew, Elias waiting, hollow-cheeked. Whatever you decide. Decide together. Ian sat, space between. But no more secrets. Full claim or none. Elias nodded, hand extended. Full. They clasped. Tentative bridge. Autumn wind whispering hope. Winter returned with vengeance. Blizzards howling down from the divide, blanketing Missoula in drifts that swallowed sidewalks and silenced streets. Ian and Elias navigated their rebuilt path with deliberate care, each step measured against the ice beneath. Date nights at the Wilma Theater, classic films flickering black and white romances that mirrored their own tentative reel. Mornings shoveling walks side by side, laughter puffing white in cold air as snowballs flew errant. Elias blocked Javier fully, phone cleared like confession, and joined Ian's workshops as volunteer, his design eye-sharpening critiques, boys blooming under dual guidance. Harlan's letters evolved, parcels now. Jars of chokecherry jam from summer pickings, a worn Stetson for city winters. Ian wore it to gallery openings, brim casting shadow over smiles, a talisman of reconciliation. Lila and Nora announced engagement, spring wedding planned, pulling the family tighter. Planning sessions over brunches, Elias sketching invites with elegant swirls, Ian capturing portraits in pencil, Nora's fierce joy and Lil's soft glow eternalized. But equilibrium quivered under deeper quakes. Elias's firm, sensing his divided loyalty, dangled carrots. Lead on a major campaign, equity stake if he committed full Seattle. Think of the future, he said over dinner, fork twirling pasta, eyes earnest. House travel, kids maybe if we adopt down line. Ian paused, wine glass midway, the word kids foreign bloom. Future sounds good. But whose? Ours. Elias reached, thumb stroking wrist. Hybrids killing me, drives, fatigue. We move, start fresh. Move, echo heavy. Missoula's my fresh. Gallery, workshops. These boys need seein'. Elias deflated slight. Seattle's got scenes too. Bigger. Bigger ain't always better. Ian pulled hand back gentle. Talk to Theo, couple session. Elias agreed, but tension simmered. Weekends laced with unspoken maps. Spring wedding bloomed under big sky. Lila in lace simple. Nora in suit tailored sharp. Vows exchanged in a meadow by Flathead Lake. Wildflowers nodding witness. Harlan walked Lila, arms steady, eyes misting as he passed her hand. Ian best man, speech weaving tales of sibling forts and shared secrets, laughter rippling like water. Elias stood groomsman, toast raising glass. To loves that claim across divides. Reception danced till stars pricked, bonfire crackling. Harlan pulling Elias aside for quiet words. He's my boy. Heard again, no mercy. Elias nodded solemn. Understood. He's my world. Ian overheard, heart swell, pulling Elias to dance under string lights, bodies sway slow to acoustic guitar. Love you, whispered into collar. Forever. Elias nuzzled, but phone buzzed pocket, work, ignored. Summer scorched valleys, rivers running high for kayaking, Ian and Elias renting gear, paddles slicing whitewater, whoops echoing canyons. Evenings, porch beers on their balcony, city hum below, dreams shared, Ian's book of sketches, yards to horizons. Elias's indie studio, clients queer-owned. But August heat wave brought fever. Elias in Seattle for final pitch. Extended to 10 days. Texts dwindling to emojis. Ian filled with workshop intensives. A teen named Kai confiding abuse at home. Sketches of locked doors. Ian listening. Hugging when tears fell. You're worthy, kid. Claim that. Elias returned tanned. Distant. Crashing early each night. Ian confronted over breakfast. Coffee steaming accusation. What's eating you? Elias rubbed temples. Campaign landed. They want me on-site permanent. Led. Congrats. Forced bright. And us. Negotiating remote days. Hesitation. But Javier. Ian's fork clattered. Blocked ain't erased. He reached out email. Apology closure. Elias eyes down. I replied. Polite. Polite. Venom. To your ex, while I'm here? Closure, Ian. For us. Us don't need his ghost. Ian stood, chair tipping. You're slipping. Elias rose, hands placating. One email. Done. Swear. Swear. Kiss pressed, but Ian pulled back. Chill settling. September harvest moon rose fat. Gallery hosting harvest art fair. Ian's booth thronged. Sales brisk. Elias manned register. Charm disarming buyers. But mid-afternoon, Kai approached shy. Eyes on Elias. You're the partner? Cool ink. Elias grinned. Rolling sleeve, compass matching Ian's. Yeah, this one's his design. Kai beamed. But later, alone, confessed to Ian. Dad found my sketchbook. Burned it. Said I'd end up like you, alone. Ian hugged fierce. Not alone. See? Proof. But words rang hollow that night. Elias late from networking. Breath minty over scotch. Client dinner. Celebrated the win. Win. Ian undressed back turned. Hope it's worth. Bed cold divide. Sleep fitful. October storms brewed. First flakes dusting peaks. Harlan visited. Weekend guest. Bunking couch. Tours of Ian's world. Gallery crawl. Brewery hop. Over steaks at home. Harlan grilled Elias gentle. Seattle pullin' hard? Elias nodded, carving meat. But roots here deeper. Harlan grunted approval later to Ian. He's tryin'. Don't let fear blind. Fear. Ian's constant shadow. Workshop grew. 10 boys now, circle of trust. Stories spilling. Runaways, church exiles. Ian facilitated. Heart full. But home echoed empty. Elias's suitcase perpetual by door. Crisis crested mid-month. Elias's birthday surprise. Ian planned escape to ranch. Harlan in on it. Cabin stocked. Fire laid. Drove dawn. Elias groggy passenger. Waking to Harlan's grin at gate. Happy birthday, son-in-law. Elias blinked. Then hugged Harlan awkward. Laughter bubbling. Weekend idle. Fishing Creek. Harlan teaching casts. Stories of young Harlan courting Ian's ma at barn dances. Evenings, stars blanket, Elias and Ian wrapped in quilts. Lovemaking slow under harvest moon. Bodies reclaiming. Return Sunday, glow lingering, but Monday email from Elias's firm. Acceptance letter. Relocation start January. He showed Ian over dinner, hopeful. We talked counseling. This secures us. Ian read. Fine print blurring. January. 3 months. Time to plan move. Elias squeezed knee. Seattle's got galleries, queer centers. Your workshop could scale. My life here. Voice crack. Boys need me. Boys grow. We build new. Elias leaned. Trust. Trust. Fragile thread. Ian nodded. But nights churned. Dreams of auctions. Gavels falling on empty bids. Thanksgiving redux. Family expanded. But undercurrents swirled. Lila pulled Ian kitchen. He's all in? Or hedging? All in. Ian stirred gravy, doubt spice. Harlan noticed too. Fireside talk. Men chase shine. Forget gold at home. Choose wise. Elias overheard. Later argument simmering. I'm choosing us. Why fight? 'Cause it feels like auction again. Ian paced. You bid on me once. Now trade in for better lot. Elias slammed mug. Not trading. Investing. Invest. Bitter laugh. Love ain't stock. Words escalated, Elias storming to guest room. His now suitcase unpacked half. Ian to couch, Whitman open. I too am not a bit tamed. I too am untranslatable. Dawn reconciliation tentative. Coffee shared. Apologies murmured. Slow plan, Ian said. Visit Seattle first. Test. Elias agreed. Tickets booked. Weekend scout. Lofts and lofts. Galleries gleaming. Flight west. Clouds below like wool. Seattle sprawled gray-green. Space needle-piercing mist. Hotel Harborview. Elias pointing ferries. Our commute. Tours whirlwind. Queer district Capitol Hill. Rainbow crosswalks. Cafes with pronoun pins. Art spaces vast. Curators name-dropping. Ian sketched frantic. Lines alive with possibility. But ache for Missoula's intimacy gnawed. Dinner waterfront. Salmon flaky. Elias toasting. To horizons. Ian clinked, but whispered. Horizons shared? Or split? Elias paused fork. Shared. Back east Monday. Buzz faded fast. Workshop boy Kai hospitalized. Suicide attempt. Home rejection peaking. Ian at bedside, holding hand. You're enough. Claim that. Elias waited home. Dinner cold. How's he? Broken. Ian sank. But mending. Elias hugged. Like us. Christmas neared. Lights strung early. Harlan scent tree. Pine scented from ranch. Ornaments glass blown by local artist. Decorating night. Tinsel tangled. Laughter. But Elias' phone rang. Javier. Blocked number new. Ignored, but Ian saw. Again. Harassment. Elias deleted. Over. Doubt festered. New Year Eve, party at Lil's, countdown cheers, kiss at midnight sweet. But January loomed. Relocation dates circled red. Elias packed subtle. Suits to dry clean, books boxed. Ian watched, heart lead. Workshop holiday, boys gifting. Kai, out of hospital, drawing of auction yard reclaimed garden. For you. From abandoned to owned. Ian teared, hugging. We all own ourselves. Home showed Elias, voice thick. This. Here. Elias nodded, but eyes distant. Seattle's got programs too. Programs ain't family. Snap. Argument reignited. You're holding back my growth. Your growth's us, not solo climb. Words weapons, Elias to airport early. Need head clear. Talk soon. Soon stretched week, then two. Texts minimal. Calls dodged meetings. Lila found Ian bar, nursing beer. He's running. Scared. Inside. Of settling. Settle for love ain't loss. Lila hugged. Fight or release. February frost. Gallery exhibit reclaimed spaces. Ian's curation. Opening packed. Elias absent. Text stuck. Kill me. Kai attended. Arm in sling. Proud. Ian. Pride hollow without Elias. Mid-month. Harlan called. Storm comin'. Drive safe if visitin'. Ian drove. Refuge ranch, snow chains rattling. Harlan welcomed. Chores therapy. Hay baling, barn mending. Nights. Firelit talks. Love like land, son. Storms pass. Roots hold. Roots hurt when pulled. Harlan nodded. Then plant new together. Return. Resolve steel. Confronted Elias over video. Face pixelated. Decide. Us here or go. Elias hesitated. Need time. Time's up. Ian hung, heart shatter. Days numb, workshop anchor. Boys sensing, support fierce. Lila planned girls' night, brothers edition. Spring equinox, thaw. Elias appeared unannounced. Bag slung. Eyes desperate. I quit. Turned down Seattle. Indoor frame lean. Why? 'Cause home's you. The yard, the claim, that's where I started. Can't lose that. Tears mutual, embrace fierce. Prove. Every day. Elias vowed. Rebuild began. Slow bloom. Job hunt local, Elias freelancing Missoula startups. hands in Ian's always. Summer healed, rivers calling, love renewed in currents. But betrayal's shadow lingered, waiting gale. Summer unfurled languid in the Bitterroot Valley, days stretching long with sunlight that gilded the riverbanks and warmed the granite faces of the encircling peaks. Ian and Elias wove their days with deliberate intention, mending the tapestry of trust thread by careful thread. Mornings at the farmer's market, baskets brimming with heirloom tomatoes and crusty loaves from the Polish bakery. Afternoons lost in the gallery where Elias now consulted on digital installations, his code breathing life into Ian's static sketches, projections of prairies dissolving into urban sprawls, symbol of their blended worlds. Evenings belonged to the workshop, expanded now to a community center space donated by a sympathetic donor, boys and a few girls gathering under banners of Claim Your Canvas. Kai leading icebreakers with a confidence born of survival. Harlan's integration deepened. Monthly drives east where Head bunked the couch, critiquing Ian's new series over coffee. Too much blue, son. Skice plenty here. But his presence a steadying force, stories of ranch lore evolving to confessions. The night Ian's ma left for California dreams, Harlan's regret in not chasing. Love's a herd, Head say, eyes on horizon. Wander, but circle back. Lila's honeymoon glow lingered, she and Nora nesting in a fixer-upper near the university. Baby talk whispers turning to plans for fostering. Queer kids, circle closing. Family dinners monthly, table groaning under potlucks. Nora's gumbo spicy, Harlan's cornbread crumbly. Elias's paella a nod to roots, saffron threads like golden promises. Elias's freelance bloomed, clients' local breweries needing labels that popped. His home office a corner of the living room cluttered with tablets and mugs ringed with coffee stains. Stability without chains. Head quip, kissing Ian mid-mock-up. Ink smudges transferring like tattoos of devotion. Ian's book progressed, yards to horizons under contract with a small indie press in Portland. Manuscript swelling with essays alongside sketches. Meditations on abandonment as fertile ground. Auctions as metaphors for self-worth reclaimed. Readings scheduled. First in Missoula. Packed house of supporters. Kai introducing, voice steady. Ian taught me worth ain't bid on. Fall whispered in with equinox winds stripping leaves to skitter across streets, but warmth held in their cocoon. Anniversary marked quiet. Dinner at the ranch, Harlan grilling steaks under harvest moon, Lila and Nora toasting with cider from their orchard plot. Later, alone in the hayloft, rebuilt romantic, lanterns swaying. Elias pulled a box small velvet. Rings simple, silver bands etched with compasses intertwined. Not marriage yet, he murmured, sliding one on Ian's finger. But claim eternal. Ian teared, reciprocating with a leather bracelet braided from ranch rope. Elias's wrist now anchored. Lovemaking followed, urgent and sacred. Bodies arching under stars peeking through slats. Gasps mingling with cricket chorus. Winter approached gentle at first, holidays a whirlwind. Thanksgiving at Lil's. Table expanded with Norris kin venturing from Atlanta. Tentative bridges over sweet tea and stories. Christmas Eve at the ranch, tree laden with ornaments accrued. Lila's childhood angel, Harlan's carved wooden star. Ian sketched baubles glued festive. Gifts thoughtful. Elias a drafting table custom. Ian a vintage camera for Elias's eye. Harlan gifted land deed sliver. For your build someday. Roots optional. New Year dawned crisp. Resolutions whispered. Ian to finish book. Elias to launch studio site. Joint to foster workshop into nonprofit. But January gale howled in literal and figurative. Elias's biggest client, a Seattle startup head nurtured remote, demanded in-person for trust build. Week only, he promised, packing light. Ian nodded, trust muscle flexed, but airport goodbye lingered, kiss deep. Call nightly. Calls came. First excited, pitches landing. Second tired, jet lag. Third distracted, meeting ran late. Fourth silent, text sorry, chaos. Love. Week stretch 10 days, then 2. Ian immersed workshop, planning spring retreat to Glacier, boys buzzing. Kai came out to parents, shaky but supported, miracle small. Your fault, he teased Ian. Showed me how. Pride swelled. But home hollowed, bed vast. Sketches veering abstract. Fractured rings, horizons halved. Lila sensed. Lunch at cafe. He's drifting again? Trying not. Fork salad. But echoes. Theo solo. Echoes fade with action. Set boundary. Boundary set. Text. Home Friday, or we talk future sans you. Elias responded swift. Flight booked. Miss you. Return Thursday Eve, surprise. Arms full takeout from their spot. Eyes shadowed. Long, but locked contract. 6 figures annual. Hug fierce. Proud. Stay this time. Staying. Dinner devoured, talk flowing. Client quirks, workshop wins. Bed reclaim, bodies sinking like forgotten song. February frost etched windows, but fire kindled. Elias Dove local, pitching to tech incubator in town. Missoula made branding. Ian's book edits flew. Agent buzzing, bestseller potential in niche. Valentine's cabin getaway, snowshoeing heart trails, hot cocoa spiked rum. To claims kept. Elias toasted mugs. Spring retreat success. Glacier cabins, boys hiking Avalanche Lake. Sketches of turquoise waters, stories shared fireside. Abuse survived. Loves lost. Hopes kindled. Elias facilitated tech demo. Apps for digital art sharing. Kai coding first sketch upload. Family. One boy whispered, and Ian believed. Summer cycled. Rhythm solid. Market mornings. Gallery afternoons. Porch evenings with gin and tonics. Fireflies winking approval. But August heat pressed and old ghosts stirred. Elias's inbox pinged. Javier email. Congrats on the win. Coffee? Old times. Deleted unseen. But Elias confessed over breakfast. Voice small. Told him no. Blocked again. But stirred doubt. Doubt. Ian Coffee paused. About us. If I'm enough. For you, this life. Enough. Laughter soft. You're the stranger who stopped. Everything since. Elias teared. Scared of failing you. Then don't. Kiss sealed. September harvest. Book launch loomed. Missoula reading sold out. Harlan front row. Whistling loud. Signing lines snaked. Kai gifting back. Bound sketches from workshop. Our horizons. Reviews glowed. Whitaker's prose cuts like his pencils. Raw reclamation. Tour beckoned. Bozeman, Helena, then Portland, Seattle. Elias joined Seattle leg. Home turf tour. Reading at Elliott Bay. Crowd queer eclectic. Questions probing. Auction reel. Ian nodded. Metaphor and memory. After party at Old Haunt. Elias introducing friends. My partner. The star. Warmth, but Javier shadow, mutual friend mentioned. Heard he's single again. Asks about you. Elias stiff. Past. Ian overheard. Later cab. Asks. Curiosity. Elias hand thigh. Nothing. Trust flexed. Held. October storms rolled. Tour wrapping triumphant. Book climbing charts indie. Home. Celebrity small. Local news spot. Workshop donations pouring. Harlan proud. Visit with pie. Bookseller now? Mod Beam. November elections hummed national. But local. Community vote for arts funding. Ian testifying. Voice steady on youth impact. Thanksgiving feast grand. Norris Kin Fuller. Toasts to futures. Lila and Nora fostering first kid. Toddler boy wide-eyed. Christmas magical, snow blanketing, tree-lit carols. Gifts evolved. Ian camera roll developed. Elias framed. Elias studio launch. Site live. Ian logo sketched. New Year quiet. Balcony champagne. Fireworks distant. Year of builds. Elias whispered. Winter mild, but February brought blizzard. Power out 3 days. Candles flickered. Board games laughed over. Love-making hearth warm. This, Ian said. Worth every storm. Elias nodded. Claimed. Spring nonprofit filed. Horizon House. Workshop Heart. Grant supplied. Kai intern coding site. Summer retreat again. Boys grown, stories hopeful. But September Eve. Launch party Horizon House. Donors mingling. Elias pulled aside investor. Seattle venture. Relocate team. Fund full. Elias demurred, but eyes lit possibility. Home late. Buzzed. They offer seed money huge. For what? Ian undressed. Studio expansion. But base Seattle. Base. Heart sink. Again. Hybrid. You? Book tour. No. Voice steal. Roots here. Argument ignited. Opportunity knocks once. Knocks plenty. Choose door with us behind. Elias paced. I'm building for us. Building walls. Ian grabbed keys. Need air. Drove River Road. Tires slick rain, mind whirl. Pulled overlook. Tears hot. Called Harlan. Voice break. He's leaving again. Talk straight, son. Or lose. Pulled back. Apartment light on. Elias packing. Wait. No. Boxes for storage? Heart lurch. Sit. Ian firm. Elias did. Deflated. Offered partnership. But saw your face at party. Workshop kids. Lila's foster. This is home. Home. Relief flood. Then decline. Declined. Email shown. Polite no. Embrace. Sobs shared. Scared me. Scared myself. Elias held. Claim means stay. October healed. Storms pass. Rainbow arc. November vote passed. Funding flow. December holidays peak joy. January anniversary. Rings renewed vows casual. Forever claimed. But February, anonymous email to Ian. Screenshot Elias Javier texts. Flirty recent. Miss our spark. Visit. Heart stop. Confronted. Elias ashen. Hacked? No. Truth. Ian thrust phone. Elias crumbled. One meet. Coffee. Closure, I thought. Closure with sparks? Betrayal blade. Stupid. Lonely when you toured. But ended. Swear. Swear broke before. Ian backed. Out. Elias begged. But Ian door locked. Couch Lila's again. Day's agony. Workshop anchor. Boys sensing. You okay, boss? Fighting storm. Honest. Harlan drove up, silent support. Storms break or bond. Theo mediated session raw. Elias owning addiction to what if. Ian voicing terror disposable. Forgive. Elias pleaded. Time. Ian firm. Weeks stretched, no contact. Book sequel outlined. Sketches fierce. Spring. Lila wedding anniversary party. Elias invited neutral. Awkward, but eyes met across room. Pull magnetic. Talk porch. Rain soft. Missed you. Missed us. Inside. But trust shattered. Rebuild. Elias hand out. Slow. Fingers lace. Rebuild tentative. Coffee dates. Boundaries firm. Counseling triple. Summer mended. Retreat joint. Elias cautious volunteer. Fall book 2 contract. Tour light. Winter warmed. Claims reaffirmed. But crisis loomed. Betrayals echo waiting crescendo. The year turned on its axis. Seasons cycling with a rhythm that felt both eternal and fragile. As if the world itself held its breath for Ian and Elias to find their footing. By the time autumn leaves carpeted Missoula's streets in a mosaic of rust and amber, their rebuild had taken tentative root. Weekly check-ins over pie at the Imagine Nation Brewery, where the air smelled of hops and possibility, words exchanged like careful offerings. Elias recounting freelance wins with local nonprofits, Ian sharing workshop triumphs. Like the day Kai landed a scholarship to art school in Bozeman, his acceptance letter framed in the center like a beacon. Trust grew in increments, small as the wild asters pushing through cracked sidewalks, resilient and unassuming. Harlan's role solidified into quiet pillar, drives to the ranch now by monthly rituals where head teach Elias roping basics in the corral, laughter echoing when the lasso tangled round Elias's boots instead of the post. City hands, Harlan would grunt, but with fondness creeping in, evenings spent around the kitchen table with Lila and Nora's foster son, little Theo, named for the counselor, a curly-headed 4-year-old with eyes like mountain lakes, toddling between legs, demanding stories of the gay boy and the stranger. a sanitized fairy tale Ian spun from their origins. The Horizon House nonprofit flourished, grants flowing like spring melt. A dedicated studio space downtown, walls splashed with murals by the youth themselves, depicting journeys from shadowed yards to sunlit fields. Ian curated exhibits that traveled, reclaimed voices drawing crowds from Seattle to Salt Lake. His name whispered in art circles as the poet-painter of queer resilience. Elias's studio complemented, designing apps that digitize the kids' work for global sharing. His tagline, from local lines to worldly waves, etched on business cards that now included Partner, Ian Whitaker Designs. Holidays blended families seamless. Thanksgiving at the ranch, venison alongside Norris gumbo, Theo smashing yams with glee. Christmas in Missoula, trees strung with workshop ornaments. Paper compasses, clay rings. Gifts practical and profound. Ian a custom sketchpad bound in leather from Harlan's tanned hides. Elias a tattoo session together, matching asters on forearms, petals unfurling toward wrists like hands reaching. Winter's grip loosened early that year, January thaw bringing mud season and renewal talks. Fostering formal, paperwork stacking for a sibling set, queer teens needing the stability they'd built. Our auction, Elias joked soft one night, papers spread on table. But bids start at love. Ian laughed, head on shoulder. Sold. Spring retreat to Glacier marked milestone. Full group now 20. Bust in chartered van, cabins alive with chatter. Elias led tech hikes, drones capturing aerial art. Ian facilitating circle shares undergoing to the sun road's shadow. Stories of survival met with nods and tears. Kai, home from college summer, mentored a shy newcomer named Riley. Echo of a blind date long forgotten. Whispering, Ian saved me. Let him save you. Summer hummed content. Market stalls shared. Ian's book 2 launching to acclaim. Tour light with Elias tagging Portland leg. Hands held public in Powell's aisles. Harlan even ventured. Reading signing hesitant but beaming at applause for his guest essay on ranch reckonings. Fall equinox brought Harvest Festival. Horizon House booth thronged. Apple cider steaming. Kids demoing prints. Elias pulled Ian to quiet alley. Kissed deep amid leaf drift. 1 year rebuilt. Worth every shard. Ian traced aster tattoo. Shards make stronger glass. October winds whispered change, but crisis brewed subtle. Elias's inbox flooded with offers post a viral app collab. Venture capitalists circling from Silicon Valley, promising equity oceans. Just meetings, he assured over dinner. Salmon flaking under forks. Missoula base travel light. Ian nodded but gut twisted memory. Light as Seattle? Lesson learned. Kiss Temple. This time anchor first. Meetings piled. Virtual then in person. Elias jetting to San Francisco for pitches. Returns effusive. They love the queer angle, want scale. Ian supported. Workshop absorbing absences. But nights alone bred phantoms. Sketches darkening to storm clouds. November elections national fever, but local win. Arts levy passed resounding. Horizon House funded 5 years. Celebration party downtown loft. Donors toasting. Harlan cornered by mayor. Elias schmoozing suits. Ian watched from balcony. City lights winking. Lila sidling up with cider. He's shining. But you. Shining with me. Firm but doubt flicker. Party waned. Elias buoyant home. Offer. CMO. 10 mil valuation. Partial remote. Partial. Ian bed slip. How partial? Months here, quarters there. Elias undressed. Hopeful. Build empire. Fund dreams. Foster home. Travel. Dreams shift. Voice low. Again. Not again. Elias pulled close. Trust built. Remember? Trust flexed, creaked. December holidays peak. But Elias conference Vegas. Return Christmas Eve. Gifts wrapped hasty. Tree lit. Theo giggling at presents. But Ian's smile strained. Harlan noting over eggnog. Eyes on prize, son. Prizes change hands. New Year quiet. But January brought blizzard. Elias grounded airport. Video cheers countdown. February thaw. Offers mounted. Elias torn. They push full Cali. Push back. Ian workshop prep, brushes clatter. Or push us under. March Madness. Decision deadline, Elias pacing. It's legacy, for us. Legacy's here. Ian gestured window, river flow. Boys, family. Argument simmered. Elias visiting SF for final talks. Week became month. Calls clipped. Negotiating terms. Ian anchored solo. Workshop spring clean. Kai graduating early. Speech dedicating to the man who bid on my worth. Harlan visit. Chores cathartic. Don't chase ghosts, son. Build fire instead. April showers. Lila confiding. Elias called. Stressed. Mentioned Javier. Consultant now on the team. Blood iced. Javier. Professional. Lila placate. But. Watch. Text to Elias. Home? Talk. Soon. Love. May blooms mocked. Workshop retreat planned. Ian leading alone. Boys sensed. Elias okay? Storms. Honest. But anchors hold. June solstice. Longest light. Brought dark. Email chain leaked anonymous to Ian. Elias Javier. Flirty-laced professional. Miss our synergy. Dinner? Closed deal. Heart eviscerated. Confronted video Elias face pixel hell. Misread. Networking. Networking naked? Screenshot intimate emoji. Elias blanched. One slip. Weak moment. Ended. Slips shatter. Ian voice break. Out. For good. Hung up. Sobs racking. Lila arriving dawn. Arms haven. Release, brother. Days blurred. Workshop hiatus announced personal. Sketches burned ritual fire. Harlan driving fetch. Ranch refuge. Hearts mend crooked. But mend. Harlan soothed. Fences mended tandem. Theo session solo. Grief peeled. Betrayal's auction repeated. But you're the bitter now on self. Summer waned. Workshop resumed scaled. Boys loyal. Kai stepping co-lead. Book 3 outlined. Shattered claims. Rawr. Fall leaves fell like confetti bitter. Horizon House gala success. Ian emceeing poised. Harlan toasting proud. To sons who rise. Elias attempted contact. Letters poetic. Regrets my gavel. Forgive. Burned unread. November chill. Lila's family swelled. Foster siblings placed. Theo big brother beaming. Thanksgiving ranch. Table full. Harlan carving. Absence teaches presence. Ian nodded, heart scar knitting. December solstice. Shortest day. Brought light. Gallery solo show anchors away. Pieces of Storm survived. Sold out opening. Kai curating youth corner. Press national. From auction to acclaim. Christmas quiet. Gifts to self. New compass tattoo. Petals thorny now. New Year dawn solo, river walk. Frost crunch resolve. Claimed. Whispered to water. Spring equinox, workshop full bloom. New boys arriving tentative. Stories starting. Summer retreat glacier. Ian guiding. Elias ghost absent but echo faint. Fall harvest. Book 3 deal sealed. Tour international whispers. Winter gentle, Harlan health scare small. Flu turned pneumonia. Rallied with Ian's bedside vigil. Proud, boy. Live loud. Year turned. Ian 30 now, horizons vast self-drawn. 1 April Eve. Package doorstep. Elias's compass ring. Note. You claimed me first. Keep shining. E. Kept ring, not wearer. Forward. June. Kai's wedding to Riley. College love. Ian efficient. Vows. Claim each other daily. Summer idol. Foster interest renewed. Matching with teen artist. Jamie. Eyes haunted but hands sure. Fall book launch. Harlan front. Lila beaming. Jamie sketching margins. Winter holidays. Family forged. Ranch feast. Theo's laughter. Jamie's quiet thanks. Found home. New Year. Balcony alone no more. Jamie couch surfing turned room. Family fluid. Spring. Workshop. Nonprofit peak. Grants global. Summer. Retreat with Jamie leading hike. Healing shared. Cycles turned. Ian's heart scarred but whole. Human tapestry woven from abandons. Value gleamed. Love not possession but permission to be, to claim, to release. In quiet moments, Whitman opened, I celebrate myself and sing myself. Ian smiled, eyes sky-sharp, horizon endless.